You know, I hate leaving on negative note, so I decided to do a little extra. Um, so many things are going through my mind right now, and one of them that came up was the UCC, and I went over the 1666 Sesquivi, um, just to show that the, these people are still operating on these old archaic laws, right? And it was forbidden for them to enslave us, but then it was the Pope that retracted it, stating that it's okay to enslave us. Do you see what I'm saying? So no wonder the apology of Pope Francis was, oh, to the natives, because guess what? After the 400 years, get the what was it? Yeah, the calendar of the Mayans was up 2012. After 2012, what happened? Queen found guilty. King of the Netherlands, 2014, King of the Netherlands became the King of England, Ireland, Scotland. 2015, the EU. Oh shit. All these things just keep happening over and over again. What happened in 2013? That was the first time I had a sweat at a sweat lodge. And if anybody ever has the chance to go for a sweat, I suggest they do so. But I wanted to go over the UCC One financial statement. And what does it mean? Even though I'm referencing, let's see, if I go here, let's see, where we start here, yeah? So you have to understand that when it comes down to it, every single person that is out there is a or in uniform. Even if you have a prime minister or president, um, you name it, they're in uniform. They have been elected to an office, and their uniform is a suit. You see that the um, the police agents are in suits, ambulance are in suits, military are in suits, even the lawyers, they're in a suit, and they make suit or create suit in a suit. You have the commissioners and you have the dock masters who are in suits. Now, all of them are under uniform. They're in uniform. And the UCC1, Uniform Commercial Code. Well, commercial is, like it states in the um, charter, it's an advertising, right? Commercial. We'll look up the word uniform, commercial, and code, right? That's what we'll do first before we etymology. We go always reference the etymology at o mol o j, right? Etymology. Uniform. Just like united, right? Uniform. Or is it uniform? Uniform. Because it's U N UN is a no-no word. U cancels out N, which is I form. No I form. Ha! There's no I in team, is there? But yeah, let's see here. It's an adjective and a noun and a verb. Fan bloody freaking tastic, eh? Flan bloody tastic, right? Uniform.
Uniform, adj, published by Online Etymology Dictionary. 1530s, of one form, from French uniform, 14c. From Latin uniformis, having only one form or shape, from uni, one, see uni, plus forma, form, see form, n. Related, uniformly, uniform, n. Distinctive clothes worn by one group, 1748, from French uniform, from the adjective, see uniform, adj. Uniform, v. 1680s, to make alike, from uniform, adj. Meaning, to dress in a uniform, is from 1861. Related, uniformed, entries related to uniform, uni, form, uniformity. Others are reading. Definitions of uniform from WordNet. Uniform, adj, always the same, showing a single form or character in all occurrences. A street of uniform tall white buildings. Synonyms, unvarying. Uniform, adj, the same throughout in structure or composition. Synonyms, consistent. Uniform, adj, evenly spaced, at regular or uniform intervals. Uniform, adj, not differentiated. Synonyms, indifferentiated. Uniform, v, provide with uniforms. The guards were uniformed. Uniform, n, clothing of distinctive design worn by members of a particular group as a means of identification. Dictionary entries near uniform, unicycle, unidentifiable, unidentified, unidirectional, unification, uniform, uniformitarian, uniformity, unify, unilateral, unilateralism.
That is a uniform. So a uniform is from 1540. Let's see. One shape, distinctive clothing, to make alike, to the same thing, evenly spaced. Someone basically is in uniform. To make alike. Commercial. Commercial. Commercial is an adjective, a noun, a verb, a noun. What? Love this etymology stuff, man.
Commercial, adj, published by Online Etymology Dictionary. 1680s, engaging in trade, from commerce plus al, 1. Meaning, done for the sake of financial profit, of art, etc. Prepared for the market or as an article of trade, is from 1871. Meaning, paid for by advertisements, in reference to radio, TV, etc., is from 1932.
Paid for by advertisements.
Related, commercially, commercial, n. An advertisement broadcast on radio or TV, 1935, from commercial, adj. Earlier as a noun it was short for commercial traveler, 1855.
Traveler.
Entries related to commercial, al, commerce, commercialism, commercialize, infomercial. Others are reading. Definitions of commercial from WordNet. Commercial, adj, connected with or engaged in or sponsored by or used in commerce or commercial enterprises. Commercial TV, commercial trucker, commercial diamonds, commercial,
sponsored
adj,
by,
of or relating to commercialism. Commercial paper, a commercial attaché, commercial law, commercial, adj, of the kind or quality used in commerce, average or inferior. Commercial oxalic acid, commercial grade of beef.
Attaché.
Synonyms, commercial grade, commercial, n, a commercially sponsored ad on radio or television. Dictionary entries near commercial, commentate, commentation, commentator, commenter, commerce, commercial, commercialism, commercialization, commercialize, commie, Commingle.
So basically, commercial is 1680. It means in trade, paid for by advertisement, traveler, sponsored by, represented by, so sponsors. All you see is those people who are on those commercials. There you go. It's on a commercial. An ad on the radio or television, right? So now we know what commercial is. We know what uniform and commercial. Commercial. Code. Code is a noun, a verb, codex, colon, codify, decode, encode. Let's see. Morse code, black code. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Knowledge is cool. Let's see, code. Let's see what code is. What is code?
Code. N. Published by Online Etymology Dictionary. C. 1300. Systematic compilation of laws. From Old French Code, System of Laws. Law Book, 13c. From Latin Codex, systematic classification of statutory law. Earlier Codex book, literally, tree trunk, hence, book made up of wooden tablets covered with wax for writing. Devon traces this through Proto-Italic * cod ek to pi * khud, cleaved, separate, which he also sees as the root of kata, tail, see coda. Meaning, cipher, system of signals and the rules which govern their use. The sense in secret code is from 1808. Code name is from 1879, in telegraphy, meaning, system of expressing information and instructions in a form usable by a computer, is from 1946. Code, v, to put into code, 1815, from code, n. Specifically, to put into computer code, from 1947. In transitive sense, write computer code is by 1987. Related, coded, coding, entries related to code, coda, codex, codicil, codify, codon, decode, encode, others are reading. Definitions of code from WordNet. Code, n. A set of rules or principles or laws, especially written ones. Code, n. A coding system used for transmitting messages requiring brevity or secrecy. Code, n. Computer science. The symbolic arrangement of data or instructions in a computer program or the set of such instructions. Code, v. Attach a code to. Code, v. Convert ordinary language into code. Dictionary entries near code. Cocoon, cocot, cod, coda, coddle, code, codec, codefendant, coding, codependent, codex.
Now, code, it's a law book, secret codex. It's a secret set of principles and secret set of laws. It's a codex. It's a secret code pertaining to codifying code, codex, secret laws, secret computer technology, or secret programming. Well, let's see. Uniform Commercial Code. We're dealing with a lot of technology that's dealing with a lot of code. Most of the codes are now cryptography, right? That is the new securities, dealing with exchange of trade. Uniform Commercial Code. That's what I'd like to know. So I asked myself, a code, doesn't it need a codex? What is a codex? Because it needs a codex in order for you to decipher a code, no?
Codex, N. Published by Online Etymology Dictionary. Manuscript volume, especially an ancient one. 1845, from Latin Codex book, see code, N. Related, codical, entries related to codex, code, others are reading. Definitions of codex from WordNet. Codex. N. An official list of chemicals or medicines, etc. Codex. N. An unbound manuscript of some ancient classic, as distinguished from a scroll. Dictionary entries near codex. Code. Codec. Codefendant. Codeine. Codependent. Codex. Codicil. Codification. Codify. Codominant.
Ancient codex. So, let's see. Do we not have an ancient codex? It's called the Borgia Codex. Borgia. Who's the Borgias? Aren't they Dutch? The Borgias. There's got to be a difference between the people that you see that come from Germany, because honestly, when you actually talk to just a regular person who doesn't have a trust fund, who is just like, you know, they work like everybody else, they know what it means to work hard, they know what, those people are fine. When you listen to all these people, most of them have a trust fund, most of them don't have to worry about not a thing in the world, but yet they want to be like just all up in your shit, all up, just controlling this and controlling that. Like, really, we got to hear what codex.
Codex. N. Published by Online Etymology Dictionary. Manuscript volume, especially an ancient
manuscript.
one. 1845.
Ancient
from
manuscript.
Latin codex book. See code. N. Related. Codical. Entries related to codex. Code. Others are reading. Definitions of codex from WordNet. Codex. N. An official list of chemicals or medicines, etc. Codex. N. An unbound manuscript of some ancient classic, as distinguished from a scroll. Dictionary entries near codex. Code. Codec. Codefendant. Codeine. Codependent. Codex. Codger. Codicil. Codification. Codify. Codominant.
Now, there is one thing that we don't know or we're not told, right? Because we are all in the category of debtors. An ancient manuscript, a list of medicines and potions, right? An ancient manuscript. Deciphering ancient manuscript in learning how to govern the populace. We're always taught we're debtors. Isn't that what we're taught? We're always taught we're debtors, right? We're nothing more than debtors. So get used to it. Well, what's the opposite of a debtor? Isn't that a creditor? So we understand that there's a uniform commercial code that is like one shape, a distinctive clothing of group of people, evenly spaced, like buildings or cities, to make like something. They do trade, they travel, they have paperwork, attaches, they do advertisings through an advertisement. If you don't know what I'm talking about or know what I'm relating to, I want you to go back to the next video and watch the one dealing with the charter of the West Indian Trading Company. Because this is the whole relation, right? Now, they have a set of laws and secret writings set to what do you call it? Set to certain principles. And what they say, when you're paying off your mortgage or dealing with anything, you can always pay into the principal. The principal basically allows you to pay off anything quicker. But it's codified, and it's put into context, right? But understanding all that, it stems from an ancient manuscript. That you need a list of medicines and potions. List of medicines. So medicines, potions would be cures. Now, Uniform Commercial Code. What is Uniform Commercial Code? Or what is it deal with? What does it mean? What does it represent? Like, why is it a part of this commercial advertising? Since each one of them are in uniform, since each one of them are part of the military, and it's a military occupied complex, then each business or corporation or company who's made an oath to the original company that is now pumping a new advertisement, what does UCC1 mean to me or to you? What does it mean? Let's see what a UCC1 financial statement is.
UCC1 Financing Statement. Published by Wikipedia. A UCC1 financing statement is a legal form that a creditor files to give notice that it has or may have an interest in the personal property of a debtor. This form is filed in order to perfect a creditor's security interest by giving public notice that there is a right to take possession of and sell certain assets for repayment of a specific debt with a certain priority. Such notices of sale are often found in the local newspapers. Once the form has been filed, the creditor establishes a relative priority with other creditors of the debtor. This process is also called perfecting the security interest in the property, and this type of loan is a secured loan. A financing statement may also be filed in the real estate records by a lesser of fixtures to establish the priority of the lessor's in the property, and this type of loan is a secured loan, which is a relative priority payment of a specific debt with a certain priority. Such notices of sale are often found in the local newspapers. Once the form has been filed, the creditor establishes a relative priority with other creditors of the debtor. This process is also called perfecting the security interest in the property, and this type of loan is a secured loan. A financing statement may also be filed in the real estate records by a lesser of fixtures to establish the priority of the lessor's rights against a holder of a mortgage or other lien on the real property. The creditor.
So who is the creditor and who is the debtor? That's where we've been lied to. Because according to this, you owe me. You have a debt. You're the debtor. You're the one doing business here and you're insolvent. I'm the creditor. I have the right to take possession of certain property that is in your care. I'm perfecting the security interest with other creditors who also have a right in said property interest.
creditor's rights against the debtor and the lessor's rights against the lessee are based in the credit documents and the lease, respectively, and not the financing statement. Pursuant to the standards set forth in the UCC, at 9 to...
Set in the lease. What is the lease? Could the lease be the treaty of Tordesillas or Turtle Island? Could that be the lease? Remember what I said, 100 years. Every treaty goes null and void. And since we are now dealing with a certain time in our existence where people haven't understand or realized that uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 years has gone by. 400 of those years, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 400 of those years, there was something called servitude. As we went through on the treaty or the charter of the West Indian Trading Company. I had to cut the show short, forgive me. Yeah, I looked at the time and it was like way over, so I didn't want to have like a 20-hour show. But understanding Uniform Commercial Code. Why? Because according to the treaty or the charter of the West Indian Trading Company, this is dealing with the West. There's actually no such thing as East or West. Why? Because I think if you go that way far enough, they say you'll come back here. But honestly, if you go that way far enough, according to the flat earthers, you'll hit a wall. All I have to say is we're very tiny. We're the size of a sperm. And if you really think about it, how big, if a sperm is that big, how big are we really? Uniform Commercial Code. Now, each one of those persons we're dealing with is in uniform. You had all the admirals in uniform, all the generals, all the colonels, captains, privates, all in uniform. Even when you say that you are a public citizen, you're in a uniform. Or you're a private citizen, the lowest form of the military, right? Let's go this way. Let's go like this. The lowest form of the military is a private, right? The lowest form of, I think, can anybody ever joined the military? Huh? Let's see. Yeah, press on. Now, the lowest form of the military is a private. So when you're a private citizen, you're actually part of the lowest form of the military, which the military is the West Indian Trading Company, right? If you really realize it, what's our economy based on? Trade, stock market, goods, services. All these people are all in uniform. All these captains of all these ships, they're all in uniform. All these military is uniform. If I go to Walmart, they're all in uniform. If I go to Tim Hortons, they're in uniform. If I go to FedEx, or if I go to Brown, they're all in uniform. Okay, so Uniform Commercial Code, UCC. Well, a uniform is one shape, distinctive clothing to make alike, same thought, evenly spaced, commercial, in trade, to pay off, by advertising, spread apart, paper attaché ads on radio or television. That's commercial. Code. Now, code is a law book. It's codified. It's a secret set of principles and laws. It is, what do you call it? Sacred code put into context. It's a code, case, an attaché. Attaché is commercial. Now, so we're realizing that this all started in the 1300s. It increased. The uniform started in the 1540s, and the commercials started in the 1680s, right? Because remember, 1621 would have been the West Indian Trading Company, so they started issuing out commercials for advertising so that people would join their memberships. Okay? Now, I said to myself, if something is coded, it has to have a codex, right? And a codex is a manuscript, an ancient manuscript. It is the first codex. Let's see. An ancient manuscript. That's what I took from. Okay. So now this ancient manuscript is basically has a book of laws and secret principles, right? Oh, and medicine. It's a list of medicines and potions. That's what a codex is, to codify the code. That we're dealing with commercials, which is mostly paperwork, and put into uniform. No form, no formation. But it's uniform, UNI form, right? Or uniform. That's the thing. No I form. So no singular form, right? And that's how you can have and manipulate the surroundings of people's worlds, right? Because you're in a uniform. Well, you know what? UNIA, they were in uniform. NAACP was in suits, which was still a uniform. But both were organizations. One was created by the European and the other was created by a domestic Indian. So it stems to say that if you are European and you create an organization, it's only for you and your Europeans. Sorry, but that's just how it is. And when you look at the form that says what a European is, it's a Northern African. So if it's a Northern African and you have Egypt to Ghana, Morocco, those are all Northern Africans, mostly ran by France, then your Black History Month, which only happens once a year, though what happens to the rest of the other months? Do they forget that they have history? Or does it just say you should just remember your history once a year? I wonder if there was a Chinese History Month, what would happen? Or a Jewish History Month? Or a European History Month? You know what? That'd be a great idea. Every single month, we're going to choose for them a certain month that we speak about their history and just pump their history so that we're all on the same level, same basis. Because if you like to pump out our history but not tell us, like, guess what? This is what happened to you, Negroes, but tough luck. See you next year, niggas. But let me go back. Oh, the Uniform Commercial Code. What is it? Why does it apply to me? Why? Because basically, if you give me a piece of paper that gives you Geisig and DeVriant, that says that Geisig and DeVriant copyrights this paper. Yeah, that's a C with a circle around it. So this is copywritten by Geisig and DeVriant. So this is owned by Geisig and DeVriant with my name on it, some numbers on it. On the back of it, it's like some red numbers, but it looks like bond paper. Smells like money, right? But yeah, isn't that how she goes? Uniform Commercial. Let's get back to it. What is the Uniform Commercial Code?
Published by Wikipedia.
What is it?
UCC1 financing statement is a legal form that a creditor files to give notice that it has or may have an interest in the personal property of a debtor.
Oh shit. The Uniform Commercial Code, or the UCC1, is a financial statement that a creditor signs that makes you have an interest in the property of a debtor. Who's the creditor and who's the debtor? Because it seems to me that certain bills have not been paid since the early 1492. Yes. Does the public debt mean that that's what they owe? And you're actually supposed to have a claim of life since 1666, after the 1621, after them basically blocking off the routes for us to go to and from the islands, Africa, Indonesia, Asia, Japan, anywhere we wanted to fucking go. So since you blocked off all the routes, the 1666 Sescavie basically stated that if you leave more than 7 years, you have to, oh, I see. So I am a creditor. I've always been a fucking creditor. Why? Because chattel property to the debt now, aren't I? Oh, did I just twist it around? Did I just make a bloody... Oh, is that why you want a reset, do ya? Because if I filled out a UCC1 stating I'm a fucking creditor, I'm property, I'm basically considered property to the Germans. The Germans, they actually are the one who's supposed to be, dealing with the debt now, innit? Let's continue, shall we?
Of a debtor. This form is filed in order to perfect a creditor's security interest by giving legal form that a creditor files. UCC1 financing statement. Published by Wikipedia. A UCC1 financing statement is a legal form that a creditor files to give notice that it has or may have an interest in the personal property of a debtor. This form is...
I have personal property in a debtor. So if a creditor and a debtor, if a creditor and debtor, hey, that sounds... Yo, what's up? If a creditor and debtor. If I am incurring debt, I'm passing around debt, but I'm also the creditor. I have an interest in myself. So a UCC1 is actually a lien on people who owe you motherfucking money. So I have to now fill out this paperwork and basically say that I have an interest in said here property. The said here property has an interest and I will now gather together and fuse with others creditors to put liens on said here property to make sure that financial statements have been stated now, don't I? Yes. Shall we?
This form is filed in order to perfect a creditor's security interest by giving public notice that there is a right to take possession of and sell certain assets for repayment of a specific debt with a certain priority.
I wonder if that's what China did. I wonder if China put a UCC1 out. I wonder if South Africa put a UCC1 out. See, this organization has changed names so much, like over the course of history, but still, they still have the same titles, like Pope, like President, like Chief, like multinational corporations. Let's continue.
Such notices of sale are often found in the local newspapers.
Oh, is that why they did it in the newspaper? And is that why certain organizations back in the past actually had their own papers? Why did we have our own media? Why don't we have our own media? Chief Holiday had his own media, didn't he? Yeah, tribeup.app. What happened to that? Should check on that. I should check on that because basically you don't need any other social media other than the ones that are created by domestics. That's a good word to look up. Domestic. Where's that pencil? Pen. Domestic. What is a domestic? Shall we continue?
Once the form has been filed, the creditor establishes a relative priority with other creditors of the debtor. This process is also called perfecting the security interest in the property.
Perfecting the security interest in the property. We're learning together. This is how I basically go through a lot of the stuff that I learn. And then I have a photographic memory that basically burns it into my retina, allowing me to basically just pull it off the top of the dome when it's needed. Why? Because I told myself I have a photographic memory. I have a photographic memory. After a while, I started listening to myself, and then miraculously, the brain behind my eyeballs started having a photographic memory. Quite simple. I've never seen them, but I'm always listening to myself. And I can always program myself. I can do it. Yes, I can. I can do it. Yes, you can. You can do it. But perfecting the security interest in the property. Wouldn't it be funny if a group of us got together and filled out said form, organized in a said fashion, implemented said liens, held in perpetuity for said time limit, incurring interest in said holdings, and living lifestyles of that said interest. Because anything given would be now debt, wouldn't it? Financial statements, bank statements, inheritance, what do you call it, ancestral claims. Putting that all back into the system would be just be defeating the purpose now, wouldn't it? Holding increasing in value. Net income create interest. Interest is lifestyle. According to the 1666 Sesquiv. So uniforms are them. Uniforms are set one course. Commercial, the advertising agencies. Now that's a business. Hi there, welcome ladies and gentlemen, and have you seen the weed pen? The weed pen is issued by the Grow Farms, Sun Grow Farms. Get yours today. Advertising. The code is the law book. It's a law book. So let me see what is Title 18, subsection 242, deprivation of rights under the coloring of the law. Ooh, the Christian black codes. Could you be depriving me of my rights under the coloring of the law? Section 242, Title 18 of the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, which you are actually in? I think I need to put you back into place since you like to get out of your place. And it's time that we start perfecting the security interest of the property, don't you? That's what it seems like most people have been doing. They're debtors pretending to be creditors and creditors pretending to be debtors. They don't know which side of the fence they sit on. What is the Uniform Commercial Code? It relates to the group of individuals that came here in 1621 to create a border barrier of trade. In order for me to trade my bananas, since a lot of people like to say, oh, you know, them Jamaicans, they got a lot of bananas up in there. They're banana boat Negroes. No, pineapples are much better. The mangoes are to die for. But bananas have been tainted and taken the seeds out of. So therefore, it's now just a limp fruit that basically used to make you strong, but it now makes you limp. These group of people basically created a law book, a secret codex, a written permission, or a set of principles and laws that govern the paperwork that you issue in a certain course so that you can be the captain of your ship. Okay. But the code is from ancient manuscripts, deciphered because motherfuckers are stealing shit from other nations, other cultures, and that's what they had to go around, getting and collecting all the stuff and bringing it to one place. Ital, you know the Romans, it's okay. But if I filled out this paperwork where I'm the creditor. Oh, but that's why you put capitalized name on the death certificate. This is a death certificate. If it's a birth certificate, it's a death certificate. And a death certificate is the birth certificate. Why would I say that? Because a creditor would advertise in the newspaper, a paper attaché on the ad, or radios on an ad saying that, guess what? This person has died, in order for it to have commercial value. You never hear anything about babies being born, do you? Because once that baby's born, it's born. That baby has a capitalized name and is put into a system, and the system is in the air of space. The system is dead. License and registration. I'm bringing out and giving you a picture of me, which is a dead system. You're going to have to pay that debt. I'm giving you a death pledge to basically stay in Necroville, where beef isn't even killed on the same day. All right? Now, this piece of paper, I had to kill the trees which Benjamin Franklin came here to chop down to make this pulp, to make this paper in the pulp pit. Praise the Lord. So now this debt note, or this debt paper, is at my birth, and my live paper is at my death. So let's flip that around. Isaac and DeVriant now has to get a piece of paper. They have to get a claim of the life, according to the 1666 Sesquivi, stating that the copywritten individual labeled on this here document is alive, according to their crown symbol, which will be advertised in the paper, claiming my own property, letting Dutch West Indian Trading Company know that I'm going to sue beyond existence to issue a set document pertaining to the laws. Now, I perfect the security interest of the property. I'm perfecting the security interest of the property. I am the security, and I'm very interesting. I am my own property. And if I want to be the best me I can ever be, I am perfecting my interest, my security interest. So my value within this document now increase in value, letting said service industry the Treasury motherfuckers. Each person cannot be paid for in fiat currency. Each person has to be paid for in gold and silver, which are known as ducats. Why? Because said paper from Treaty number 1 is forever. Charter number 1 is a rental, making the state District of Columbia, Columbus, British Columbia, Columbus, Columbia, Columbus. I'm alive, y'all. I'm alive. I'm a real boy. I'm not gonna tell lies. UCC1 financial statement. It's funny how nobody's talking about it. It's funny how you can actually look into certain UCCs. Let's see, UCC Title 18 1001. What does that say? Somebody look it up and share. Because everybody's in uniform. Whoever's fucking with me is in uniform. And it seems like they're skimming off the top because majority of them have trust funds. Majority of them, they don't do much, but yet they're getting paid. How much money do you know that Bush got paid? How much money did Obama get paid? How much money did Trump get paid? Lobbyist in the lobby. Still in uniform. Oh no, but that's not fraud. That's just bribery. I mean, that's just gifts. That's just a gift. Trudeau, the Weed Project, Uniform Commercial Code. Shall we start from the big gets? The gets.
UCC1 financing statement.
Realize who you
published
are.
By Wikipedia. A UCC1 financing statement is a legal form that a creditor files to give notice that it has or may have an interest in the personal property of a debtor.
Do you have a personal property in yourself? Do you have a personal property in your children? Do you have a personal property of the land? Do you have a personal property of what's under your head or over your head? Do you have a personal interest in said here property? Oh, yes, you do. Let's see. Stop asking for reparations because according to the treaty or the charter, it's a rental. Restitution, compensation. Gold and silver is the only payment of said here property. Gold and silver. That's it. Gold. That's the only. You've never been paid since 1933. My grandma, my grandpa, my dad, my mom. What do you call it? My aunts, my uncles, me, my children. Never been paid. Fiat currency cannot be money. Money is gold and silver. Plungible instruments that can be plunged into the ocean, taken out, just like when they found that Spanish galleon that stole the gold from here and it was brought up. And basically, what happened? They found a whole shitload of gold. What did Spain say? That there is mine. Sorry. You didn't read the treaty. It's forever. See, UCC financial statement is a lien. And remember what I said? That's how you lien. That's how you lien. See, you might not be the company who's basically part of the military, might not be liable, but according to the UCC1, anyone in uniform can be. So let's see what a UCC1 is. And let's start reading more UCC1s, because it seems like we didn't know about it. Y'all knew about it. When was it created? What was it for? It was for creditors to basically put a perfected the security interest of their properties. Well, guess what? If you were registering and gifting everything and giving everything, you're gifting it to the queen, you're gifting it to the king, you're gifting it to the mayor, you're gifting it to the premier, you're gifting it to the prime minister and the state senator, you're gifting all those things, my good man. You did not read shit. You came into a system that you had no knowledge of. Silly Negroes. Yes. According to certain treaties, according to certain constitutions, according to certain charters, which are still in effect, I have to now go by certain rules and regulations. Well, if I have to go by that, then you have to go by that. If you wish to keep fucking with me, I have to now do what I have to do. To help myself. And since my back is against the wall, I might well hotbox this bubble. The Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC1. Let's start with number one. There's the simple UCC1, Uniform Commercial Code. And you know what's funny? These guys like to say, oh, that's America. We don't freaking fall under that. We don't fall. I love it when they say that. I really do. I love it. I love the fact that they like to say that, because then it's like, Article 11, and then I walk away. You'll see my UCC1 in court. Yes.
This form is filed in order to perfect a creditor's security interest by giving public notice that there is a right to take possession of and sell certain assets for repayment of a specific debt with a certain priority. Such notices of sale are often found in the local newspapers. Once the form has been filed, the creditor establishes a relative priority with other creditors of the debtor. This process is also called perfecting the security interest in the property, and this type of loan is a secured loan. A financing statement may also be filed in the real estate records by a lessor of fixtures to establish the priority of the lessor's rights against a holder of a mortgage or other lien on the real property.
Did we not hear about lessors and reversioners in this said document? Did we not hear about lessors and reversioners in a property? Basically, I've asked the question, Excuse me, I've never paid rent. You've never paid rent. Did you know that? You cannot pay a debt with a debt. You've never paid rent. How is that possible? Ever. Ever. Because fiat currency is a debt note. It's for debtors. Well, how do we get things done? What's going on? Like, well, I guess you were supposed to have your claim of the life. I guess you're supposed to contact the death certificate. I guess you're supposed to make sure that you're not being sharecropped, because that's what's happening. They get your information and then they make a duplicate of you. They make a duplicate of you, and then it has the ability to move in and out of jurisdictions. These here are nothing more than documents, document, docking contracts, a vessel in the air of space. Contracts. Someone putting a contract on me stating that I'm a dead man. I have to prove now that I'm a live man or a living man, right? They say, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God? I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. I swear. You just cursed. You cursed everything in existence. That's what you just did. To tell. TL. The whole truth. TRU. TRU. Your T. Your T. This is where you come to be T. You get put on this. Yeah. When you're supposed to be living. You're supposed to come in living. But you want to be the T. Yar. You want to be the T, do yar? You want to be sacrificed to the deity that we made an oath to, yar. When you're supposed to be living. Hi there, how you doing? Who's treating? Somebody has to pay me for my time. Like Rumpel's freaking Stilliston. So how does this relate? Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC1, all these laws, all these are from ancient manuscripts that actually has a codex. Now, what is the codex? What is the ancient manuscripts or a list of medicines and potions? Every single thing is basically geared for us to perfect the security interest in the property. perfect the security interest in the property. We're going to basically go through that. Perfect. 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 What purrs? Sound that a cat makes when it's comfortable. Let's finish.
The creditor's rights against the debtor and the lessor's rights against the lessee are based in the credit documents and the lease, respectively, and not the financing statement.
Yes, there you go. In the lease. In the lease. What there is a lease? A lease is also known as a treaty. Yeah, it's funny. It's not actually in the statement, but it's in the lease. It's in the treaty, not in the laws.
Statement. Pursuant to the standards set forth in the UCC, at 9-503 and 9-504, the financing statement need only contain 3 pieces of information: the debtor's name and address, the creditor's name and address, an indication of the collateral, whether or not it is specific, if it reasonably identifies what is described. The financing statement is generally filed with the Office of the State Secretary of State, in the state where the debtor is located. For an individual, the state where the debtor resides. For most kinds of business organizations, the state of incorporation or organization. Many states have a state agency that operates under the Secretary of State, which is tasked with overseeing business organizations and activities, including receipt of financing statements. However,
we live in a place where you are considered property. So you actually have to be your own business and mind your own business. Like literally, mind your own business. Minding your own business is basically today breaking apart algorithms that have coins. Gold coins. Only a living man can obtain property. Only a living man can obtain property. See, my moves are very slow. Only a living man can obtain. Only a living man can obtain property. They claim you as their chattel property to the debt. You, under the UCC1, claim you perfecting the security interest in the property. Why? We're fixtures. Now I understand why Isaac and DeVriant. Now I understand why Isaac and DeVriant, has interest in said property. Now I ask myself the question, how valuable, or how do I value myself? What is my value? What am I worth? What's my piece of this pie? Never really asked for pie because I didn't like pie. It's too sweet. But if you haven't noticed, in certain charters and treaties, there is halves, portions, quarters. Isn't it a quarter acre, half acre, hectares, dealing with portions of property?
However, an exception exists if the collateral is something that is tied to a particular piece of real property, such as timber, mineral rights, or fixtures. In that case, the filing must be made in the county where the property is located, usually in the recording office or county court, because that is where third parties are most likely to search for such record.
Oh shit, third party, and where do we get that? Did you ever read your terms and conditions before you even actually jumped on YouTube? Did you read the terms and conditions of YouTube? They always like the third parties. And it seems to me that every single organization really has issues with third parties. Every time you read a terms and conditions of any contract, they are actually, let's just say the bureaucrats are the third party and they are the holding the party. When you get summons to a party, you're getting summoned to a party, right? What did we just see? We saw the elective party. Everybody is celebrating except the people who are actually the ones who were put to death. You've been served. You've been served. That's the word we're going to look up, serve.
In the case of a loan secured by personal property collateral, the filing of a financing statement gives notice of a lien against the property so that other lenders or buyers of the personal property will know of the security interest. In the case of a
Ho 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 ho. You heard that, right? So when it comes down to certain foreign entities basically having interest in said real property, it seems to me that we have missed the boat by not trying to perfect the security interest in said real property. In using the UCC1 financial statement, because it seems to me that most wealthy individuals have a financial statement, yes. And then we can fuse together and make sure that no one can do business here unless we say they can do business here. Yes, I'm a different kind of person. It just lets them know that they can't sell said property. They can't just give it away. They can't just come and take it any freaking time they want, because there's nobody here, domestic, saying anything, because guess what? Everybody is foreign agents. And yes, the people who are on reserves are foreign agents. They are of the nativity, the beginning of the fraud. Call paperwork. The PSI, the PTS, INTP. Let's see. P, they never really say the. So PS, I, P. PSI. Pressure. PSI. Perfecting the security interest. That's what a PSI is. That's what pressure is. That's what pressure from fixtures should be filed, so that there is a security interest, so that therefore the interest of this said here security is secure, so that when we don't have to be dealing with outside influence coming and taking what they want to take, mashing up what they want to mash up, blowing up what they want to blow up, I don't know, inviting who they want to invite. Because guess what? It's time to resurrect yourself. I just gave myself an awesome idea. ITP, ITP, TP. Yeah. PSITP. Ha! PSITP. That's it. That's the name right there. PSITP. That's my organization. That's it. That's where Tankara started. PSIPT. Resurrecting the public interest. Oh, I'm good. Shit. But let's continue.
Case of a filing of a financing statement by a lessor of fixtures. The filing of the financing statement gives notice of the lessor's interests to others who acquire an interest in the real property and related fixtures. The financing statement does not create a lien, nor does it create any additional rights against a lessee in favor of a lessor. The filing of a financing statement just gives notice of whatever rights the creditor or lessor have under their loan documents or lease, respectively. A filed financing statement typically has a duration of 5 years from when it was filed before a lapse may occur. Upon a lapse, a financing statement is no longer effective and any security interest that was perfected by the financing statement becomes unperfected. A secured party can continue their security interest by filing a continuation 6 months before the expiration date of the financing statement. These statements have seen increasing fraudulent use by adherents of the redemption movement, who believe that the statements can be used to claim fictive government funds.
Don't want no government funds.
Published by
See, that's the funny thing. There is no government funds. That's the thing. There's no money. None, nil, nada, zero, zilch. Whoever seen Belly? Belly was a movie back in the what do you call it, late 90s, right? And it showed him basically sitting around, and he had a little bowl, and he had money in there, and he burnt the money, and it went. That there stuck into my mind. I'm like, why are you burning that? Why would you burn it? Because you have to burn it out of your mind thinking that this is actual money. That's not money. That's not what money is. And majority of the people who died for it, who went to war for it, who, sinned for it, killed themselves for it, right? What do you have? You know what I'm saying? What do you have? PSITP, pressure, right? Pressure the property for the public interest, right? That's what you have to do. That's what you have to pressure. And learning, being with, being with my thoughts when it comes to dealing with certain situations and getting fucked over in the court and you following the rules and the laws and the regulations and all that kind of stuff and walking the straight and narrow. Yeah, that's what I did. And all I wanted to do was basically take care of my family and, live my life, raise my children. But then you start, you have respect. You have respect for the whole laws. You have respect for the rules. But then you start actually going through all this stuff and you realize everything is flipped the fuck upside down. I'm in bizarro work. We're literally in bizarro work because your birth is your death. Your death is your birth. And that's why there's such a fixation with heaven and hell after you're done here. Because when you die, that's when you start to live. But certain people are actually living their best life, and it's as easy and as simple as perfecting the security interest in the property, trying to perfect yourself. Because you really can't do nothing about anything going on outside, can you? When you really think about it. We doesn't matter what contract you read, the terminology of the grammar is so flawed that you're basically, it's like Rumpelstiltskin. You're basically just giving up your firstborn. You hear about that in King Herod. Oh, giving up a firstborn. So you realize this here.
Commercial Edge, published by Online Code and Commercial UCC1 Financing Statement, published by Wikipedia. A UCC1 financing statement is a legal form that a creditor files to give notice that it has or may.
And the thing is, we're the creditors. We are the creditors. I'm sorry, but the debt notes that you've given us to use on your behalf to circulate funds to create a fictitious, whatever this is now, the energy is now down. We're not thinking rationally because of the food we eat. We don't think logically because of the food we eat. We're stuck now in an open prison because certain people who eat shit and is full of shit is now pulling the strings to other people who think that they're supposed to be subordinate to them. But then again, they made an oath because they're family members of said company. So like I said, we're going to have to understand we need to start filling out certain paperwork. We need to actually have proof that, you know what, I'm claiming me, so you can't claim me, Isaac and DeVriant out of Germany. And I'm going to make sure that I put a UCC1 financial statement lien on your ass for basically stating that I'm a dead entity. But it's okay because now I'm living up in this bitch, right? Giving them notice, because that's what it is, giving them notice that there's an ancient manuscript that you must follow. And if you deprive me of my rights, I can go into the UCC and basically use it. Because all of these filings are filed in court.
Interest in the personal property of a debtor. This form is filed in order.
And who's the debtor? The debtor is actually the United States of America, doing business in over 300 names. That's the debtor. Before we even do that, what is the debt? What is the debt clock? The debt clock. Debit, D. The debt. There we go. Let's see. Website, National Debt Clock. Okay. You see that? Okay. Now, the U.S. national debt. Let's just look at it for a second. Every 10 seconds, the U.S. national debt goes $1 million. Added every 10 seconds. 9, 10. Let's say maybe every 12 seconds. $1 million is added. Right? That is the U.S. national debt. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 100. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 28. Isn't that 28 trillion? Yeah, 28 trillion U.S. national debt. Okay. Student loans. They even got student loans up in there. Student loans. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 trillion dollars for student loans. Okay, let's see, bank interest receives. This is what the bank interest receives. So when you really think about it, who is the creditor? Ooh, look, they even have Medicare. That's what's up here. Look at that. Medicare. U.S. federal deficit, budget deficit. So, oh, here we go. That's what's up. So, in order for each one of us, in order for you to basically be out of this debt system, or that's what you owe in this debt system. debt per citizen. So 84,650. Is that no 950? Every citizen. 84,950. So if you're basically, let's see, you're making average 40,000 a year, right? You're making average 40,000 a year. You're making, say, 50,000 a year. How about 60,000 a year? You're like, oh yeah, I could deal with the 60,000 a year job. Oh yeah, man, no problem. 70,000 a year, 80,000 a year. Guess what? You still owe $4,000. Even if you, every single year, you're going to work. You're going to take that money and you're going to give it all back. Every single penny you give back. Right? Every single penny you give back. Every penny. You still owe $4,000. So when you hear certain people talk, oh yeah, you know, you're supposed to be the creditor and blah blah blah. There's creditors and debtors. Yeah, well, we live in a country where if you're in debt, right? Oh, oh, hold on for a second. Now, this is a debt creditor system. They say at birth, I'm dead. They say when I'm dead, I am alive. Because then I advertise it. But now, what I am trying to do is basically resurrect myself from the dead. And out of this, because this is a curse, knowing in my mind that if you pay taxes, which I pay taxes, this is 6 figures per taxpayer. That's what you owe. On top of being a citizen. Now, does any of this make sense? Really don't make sense at all. Right? US federal spending. How much is the US federal spending? How much do they spend? But this is just estimate. This is the actual US spending. Right? And it says it goes from the 1960s, it's 53.13%, right? You got 1980s, the federal debt to GDP ratio, okay? In the 80s, it was 34.54%. 2000s, 58.75%. Now it's 129.82%. That is the federal debt to GDP ratio. Let's see, what does this say? Largest debt in Medicare. Okay, so Medicare, you've seen the Medicare. How about the Social Security? You haven't been paid gold or silver, but that's what's owed on the debt. That means every single bit of currency that comes through your pocket, you have to give that back. Without nothing, that's it. This is what's they say spend on the war. right? The interest on the debt. Who here thinks they know the interest on that debt? That's the interest incurring on that debt. That's the interest. They even go, they go personal debt, total personal debt, credit card debt. Whoa, credit card debt. And the funny thing is, this ain't stopping. This ain't stopping. Like I think the algorithm goes up to, like, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, it tells you everything, and you can find this at usdebtclock.org. usdebtclock.org. Right? But reading the charter lets me know that they created a system where they are operating on maritime rules. Maritime rules for everything. So in order for the maritime rules, 7 years, you leave past sea, what do you call it? You have to basically now create a contract with yourself. And that contract states that you're alive, you're a fixture, and you have interest in this property. If you have interest in the property, then basically it's basically a lien on the principal. But knowing that a codex is an ancient manuscript, it lets me want to now go and look through the Borgia Codex and all those codex dealing with the Mayans and seeing what those have to offer. Why? Because the thing is that it seems to me that majority of the different ancient symbols are all over Germany. These multinational corporations are actually using our, like, Mayan symbols for a lot of their companies, and a lot of their companies are very, very like wealthy companies. They're doing really good. You know what I mean? I was thinking about the Delaware, like a Delaware incorporation, right? And when I started doing more research, basically now since we are figuring all this stuff out, and the thing is that, you know, most of the stuff that I learn, the reason why I'm sharing is because it's a need to know. You need to know. You need to know that you're freaking walking around here like a dead man. You need to know that you'll never own anything in your whole entire life. You need to know that if you don't correct your course like a ship captain, then you're gonna get fucked, right? And they've perfected fucking you. You know what I mean? They have no respect for anything when it comes to the law. Nothing. There's no good lawyers. There's no good prosecuting attorneys. There's no good judge. There's no good commissioner. They're all criminals. They've all violated the treaty. They've all violated the Constitution. They've all violated all of their even their oath. They violated their oath. Majority of them should just actually walk out into a field, dig a hole, boom, done yourself, and just move out of the space. Those people who like to say, oh, we're going to depopulate this and depopulate that, well, guess what? Your whole form of depopulation or moving or migrating people to different regions, creating quadrants and all this kind of stuff. It's all in your charters. Majority of this is 1666 all over it. 666, 606, 666, 060606, patent numbers, placement, all this kind of stuff. It's like right in front of your face, right in front of your face. Because everybody's silent. Everybody is freaking brainwashed with this silence. They're all yeah. I'm sorry, but if you walk around with this thing on your face, you're basically saying that you have nothing to say. And you know what? I like it because I have different styles and different stuff, but that's just me. I like dress up because it's a joke. But you must have pressure in the TP. The TP represents here, perfecting the security interests in the property. You can perfect your own security interests because you are interesting. Why? Or they wouldn't want to certify you, give you a bond paper saying that you're owned by foreign corporations. I was hoping to see like, oh, this is a Jamaican birth certificate. But the thing is, after knowing who the Governor General is, and this is the Registrar General's department, knowing that the general is actually here on behalf of the Queen and her descendants, so therefore, knowing that the King of the Netherlands is nephew, and he's now the King of England, Ireland, and Scotland, making the Netherlands, who control Germany, Germany is Gijzik and de Vrijent. Gijzik and de Vrijent, the CEO. See, that's the thing. You see this? You see this? You see this? That's what I do, right? Gijzik and de Vrijent, the CEO of Gijzik and de Vrijent, right, is now the CEO of Simmons, which is a multinational corporation that basically deals in land management. So it makes me ask the question, if the CEO of Gijzik and de Vrijent could go over to Simmons, who's basically here, which is multinational corporation, that's Siemens, affiliated with who? The Dutch West Indian Company, United. It stems to say that I have to now start making certain chess moves 3 steps ahead and bring back certain treaties that allow you all providing the service industry notice that we're not watching. You motherfuckers. It's time we let y'all know Wagwan. Because if you want to treat us like freaking slaves, chattel property to your debt, which is that's oh my goodness. Assets per citizen. How about this? Each citizen asset. The U.S. total national assets. See, it's not all negative. You know what I mean? But when you start looking at the Social Security liability and the Medicare liability and the U.S. Unfounded unified liability. Holy crap. Liability per citizen is 483,916. This is the US unified liability. So I get a car, just to elaborate on liability. I get a car, right? Now, if I get a car and I have that car just sitting, it's a liability. If I get a car and I have like Uber Eats or I'm doing stuff out of my car and that car is actually making money or bringing fiat in or creating a circulation of currency, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, to create a circulation or a vortex of currency where it's kind of like a school of fish. You want to be able to reach in and pull out anytime you want. That's the goal. So we don't have to be dealing with all this bull crap, right? Or at least me. I don't have to be dealing with all this bull crap because it just seems like it's just stress upon stress. Oh, you know what? You have to pay your bill this time. You have to pay your bill that time. You have to pay. Hold on for a second. I started realizing how am I paying my bills? I've never paid my bills. I'm basically just gifting everything to everyone. And I've been gifting it for ever since I started working. I actually am supposed to be giving notice of my said coming to life out of this debt pledge, because maybe that's why they want to reset, because nobody's alive here. There's nobody alive in US. Nobody's alive, my good man. There might be one or two scattered all over the place, but nobody's doing any real research when it comes to dealing with property. Dealing with property. Whose property? Your property. Chattel to the debt, 1933, Executive Order 6102. House Joint Resolution 70, Public Record 73-10 is discharging my debts on the public side. Discharge public. So that's why they, what do you call it, jack off in a coffin, because they're discharging in the public. They're discharging in the public. Offset in the private. Because now you're being offset. You're offing the set. You're setting off. You're setting off in the private. You're setting off in the private. Why are you setting off in the private? Because now you're lowest form of the military. Right? But the thing about it is, you can't be private. You cannot be private. Why can't you be private? No, you have to be major. Major. Mayanja. Blood clot. You have to be the original major. Right? Ja Rastafari. Born in May. May is first month, wouldn't it be? Yeah. Because if the original year was in March, then the month would be May. May would be like January. J-A-H. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Two hand can clap. One hand can clap. But it can snap. So we see the debt. We realize that we are the creditors. The U.S. government, the U.S. national, or the USA government is the debtor. But you've been told otherwise. We're all in it together. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not all in it together. Nope. And that's the bill that I'm talking about. Because in this uniform commercial code, right, dealing with uniform, right? What is uniform commercial code? Let's go back and see. Understanding is okay.
UCC1 Financing Statement. Published by Wikipedia. A UCC1 financing statement.
We're gonna go that one. Let's go this one.
What is a UCC1 filing? How do UCC liens work? Published by Value Penguin. UCC1 financing statements are commonly referred to as simply UCC1 filings. UCC1 filings are used by lenders to announce their rights to collateral or liens on secured loans and are usually filed by lenders with your state's Secretary of State office when a loan is first originated.
And that's the thing. If you haven't been paid and you've only been using debt notes and you're supposed to be paid gold and silver according to the Constitution, then it seems to me that I am chattel property or collateral to a debt. And if I am so, then I am to incur interest within myself. So if I am interesting and I incur interest, then therefore I am to be able to discharge and offset debts which are incurred on my persons, which you have basically stated that I am property and I can't come into any of your court crown without a live life claim stating that I am living, so that therefore I can live my living life.
UCC1 filings can either be filed for specific assets, such as a commercial property or piece of equipment, or as a blanket lien covering all of the borrower's assets. You'll quickly find that UCC1 filings are fairly common in the world of small business lending and are nothing to cause alarm. What does UCC stand for? UCC stands for Uniform Commercial Code, which is a set of rules that help govern U.S. business laws on commercial transactions.
Now you see it. Now you see it. It governs all of those people who are in uniform. And if anybody doesn't really want to check it out, just go look. 242, deprivation of rights. We're going to go through some of them.
Technically, the UCC isn't a set of laws itself, but more of a model that individual states follow. Each state has its own implementation of the UCC rules, but the rules don't vary that much from state to state. UCC One Filings Explained. If you're approved for a small business loan, A lender might file a UCC financing statement or a UCC1 filing.
But the thing is that what I'm stating is that we are the loan. We need to get this right. This is fraud straight from 1933. If you're saying that I'm property to a German, copywritten, you're taking my name, you're going around the world and doing business in my name, saying that I am so-and-so over there, I'm so-and-so here, I'm so-and-so there. I'm just consolidating, stating I'm claiming me. None of this stuff, remember, all these stuff, when they're talking, it seems like there's money. There's no money. None. If I can print it out and burn it, this is useless paper. Money is gold and silver. And we've taken our eye off the prize to realize that gold actually basically helps with the blockage of solar radiation.
Filing. This is just a legal form that allows for the lender to announce lien on a secured loan. This allows for the lender to seize, foreclose, or even sell the underlying collateral if you fail to repay your loan.
Ooh, now see the difference.
Your loan. We highly recommend you research if your lender regularly files UCC1 filings and requires collateral before applying for a small business loan.
So now this is what I have a question to ask. Every time you go and you get a cell phone, you go and you sign up for a TV or whatever, you want to get internet or on all that kind of stuff. Does the company that you give your information for, do they sign a UCC1 on you? Because basically they're saying that they are loaning or lending you something. What are they lending you? Because you can't pay a debt with a debt, right? The Dutch West Indian Company states that they are united to a certain organization that you become a member of. Uniform Commercial Code is a law book that's codified with people in uniform doing paperwork, advertising on the radio and TV. So if you're getting any type of advertising and you go and sign up for it, are you now getting signed a UCC1 on you, a financial statement? Since you are security interest in the property. And them saying that they're the lender and you're the debtor, instead of saying you're the creditor and they're the trustee, you become the security interest. And perfecting the security interest is basically making you pay into the debt that is incurring. Why? Because every time you spend, you're increasing the public debt. Because the individuals or the group of people taking the loan out in the first place is the state. And then the country's taking the loan from the bank. And the bank is taking the loan from the central banks. Jesus Christ. This is like a puzzle within a puzzle within a puzzle.
Even if you're completely confident that you'd be able to repay the loan, we still recommend caution here. as UCC1 filings can impact your business as we describe in detail below. The information on a UCC1 filing can include the creditor's name and address, the debtor's name and address, a description of the collateral, 2 types of UCC1 filings, UCC liens against specific collateral. This type of lien gives creditors an interest in one or more specific, identified assets rather than an interest in all the assets owned by a business.
Now you see that the creditor has always been you. We've always had interest. We've always had interest. We've always had security interest in this property. All our leaders have been asking, what is what is this and what is that? If you fall under 501c3, then you can't say shit. Don't say nothing. Because you can't say nothing. If you do not, then basically start being the creditor. All those people who are basically on this here, like watching and stuff like that, they've just listened to the pressure of the TP. How to perfect the security's interest in the property. And you are your property. So you need to perfect your security interest. What's your value? What are you worth?
By business. These are most often used for inventory financing or equipment financing transactions. UCC Blanket Liens. This lien gives a creditor a security interest in all assets of the borrower. This lien type is commonly used for loans from banks and alternative lenders, as well as loans guaranteed by the Small Business Administration, SBA. Blanket liens are preferred by lenders because they are secured by multiple assets and are, therefore, less risky. In some cases, a blanket lien might carve out some assets that will be exempt from the lien. This might occur if the remaining assets are more than sufficient to reimburse the lender, should a default occur. Typical collateral. UCC1 filings typically use movable assets as collateral, which can include vehicles, office equipment and fixtures, investment securities, inventory, receivables, letters of credit, and other tangible items of value.
You heard fixtures. We went over the Treaty of Tordesillas. Basically, they claim from Arctic to Antarctic, from east to west, and all fixtures. Meaning that the birds, the trees, the people, all the land. And then on the eastern side, it was Portugal that basically controlled and claimed from Arctic to Antarctic and all fixtures. Guess who the fixtures are?
For example, if you take out a loan to buy new machinery, the lender might file a UCC1 lien and claim that new machinery is collateral on the loan. You would, of course, work with your lender to designate what the collateral will be before you sign any documentation committing to the loan.
Collateral. Guys, we can variant collateral. What's the loan? You.
If you sign a secured loan, all of the designated collateral is now the property of the lender until your loan is fully repaid. Your lender can seize that collateral if you fail to repay your loan.
So it makes me ask the question now. If in 1933, the movement of the ruling class was to basically put their people as chatteled debt to a loan, right? Their collateral to the loan. Then, therefore, that's why these people can issue a birth certificate on our person, because they took out a loan to build their country. And that's what majority of the people did. in Africa, in South America, in North America, in Europe even, because remember it's usually who is it? The Rothschilds is the banking system, right? Central banking system. So if I'm getting a loan from Mr. Chin, Mr. Chin is basically saying that what do you have? What do you have as an asset? That asset would be what? Property. Well, they don't own the property because there's a charter, and they've been just renting the whole time. All right. They say, oh, it's a country. They don't have the country because a country is a corporation. Corporation's not even what do you call it, registered here. So what do you have? You have people. That's where you get trafficking, human trafficking, right? And there's actually a UCC for trafficking. We'll look up that too. Trafficking. Right? So they're being given funds, collateral, or they're giving funds for their collateral. And that could that be the reason why certain dirty little shits. Now I'm thinking that this is just like it's just like these people are the type of people that would basically call in on a loan, right? Let's see, what's it say?
You would, of course, work with your lender to designate what the collateral will be before you sign any documentation committing to the loan. If you sign a secured loan, all of the designated collateral is now the property of the lender until your loan is fully repaid.
There you go. So all your stuff is now the property of Geisig and DeVrine. If you have a birth certificate of this, you're now the property of the Germans until it's fully repaid by the Governor General who took out a loan because the Queen's properties went insolvent, bankrupt. So they had to sell certain people or sell the people who probably weren't on the land, who's been away from the port for more than 7 years, not declaring anything. Like when you go on an airplane and you get to you leave one port and you get to the other port and they give you this piece of paper and it says, do you have anything to declare? Right? There's no written contract. No written contract. Declaration. No clear contract. So do you have anything to declare? There's no clear contract. Okay, what's the clear contract? Well, what were you supposed to declare? We usually say, oh, we got some rum, we got some fruits, we got some food, we got some, you're telling them all the stuff that's in your luggage. But nobody has declared that they reach safe to the other port, according to reversioners who actually ask you when you land, do you have anything to declare? I'd like to declare my life. I'd like to declare that I reach safe. And I'd like to declare that y'all bloods are blood clots playing fucking games. But yes, I guess we're supposed to declare our life when we get to the other side of any port, according to the Sesquive of 1666, 1666, the day that the beasts decided that we were lost and dead at sea. Now I'm understanding Pirates of the Caribbean. Because all they were doing was just stealing property. And it was the West Indian, the West Indian and East Indian Trading Company. So you see that certain people, or majority of the people that's been controlling our lives or writing our way through history is foreigners anchored at dry dock. But it's up to us who basically have no clue of this system that's been going on around us, know or did even know that we had to do certain things. Like we can be told, yes, you have to do this, this, and this. But the thing is, when it comes down to it, you have all the paperwork, the knowledge, the know-how to basically live it. You know what I mean? Like this is like uncharted territory for me, to tell you the truth. I've been researching this stuff for years, but putting it together and actually seeing it come together is a totally different story. Especially putting the relation in between the group of people who first implemented the whole barriers, stopping you from going from the island to the mainland to Africa, to like it made it seem like, oh, we haven't done anything in just 100 years. No, we were doing tons of shit. From the 1600s on, it was war. Yeah, it was war for 200 years, all the way up to the 1800s, right? Until and then what was it? Fear came in because the Gatling gun, and the nuclear bomb. That's what basically came in and changed the whole landscape of the whole place. Because they're just like, did you see that? They dropped that on them, and you know for a fact that there was probably tons of people in what do you call it, in Pearl Harbor, when they were doing all that war and fighting and stuff like that. You know for a fact that you were seeing Negroes at that time. Yeah, majority of the Japanese pilots were Negroes. Let's see, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Negroes. And then when you go down to Vietnam War and you're dealing with that, you deal with, oh my God, we're fighting ourselves. I wonder why they lost the war, because we basically stepped out of it. And then you go, and then you had to be taken back into the whole realm of war again, because why? It's profitable. The West Indian Trading Company basically deals in war. NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO basically is in control of most of the military weapons. But they're dealing with the treaties. Right? It's like, break yourself, nigga, give me a motherfucking number. Right? Let's continue, shall we?
Your lender can seize that collateral if you fail to repay your loan. When a lender files a UCC1 with the appropriate Secretary of State, meaning the Secretary of State for your residential state, or the state where your company is incorporated or organized.
You heard that, right? So you have your name on a piece of paper that states that you're property. Should you open your own company or do your own business instead of work for somebody else that's basically going to hold you as chattel property? Until then, yes, you actually need to know this. This is a land of slaves, plantations, courts, filings, paperwork, ancient manuscripts, and the lists of medicines and potions, all in a row. since the 1300s. We've been bamboozled, but we're, let's see, we are down, but we're not out. Why? Because we know that we have to start being the eye of the hurricane, the cool, the calm, the collective. We gotta be cool. We gotta be like, all right, smooth. That's about it. We need to start learning what these things mean, because guess what? Lenders, are you not lending your time?
The lender is said to perfect its security interest. Legally, this means the lender can enforce the lien in a state court with minimum fuss. In cases where the collateral is tied to a specific physical property rather than financial assets, the UCC1 is filed in the county where the physical property is located. The UCC1 becomes a public record, allowing potential creditors to see whether a given property is already pledged against an existing lien.
Public record, for the record. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? For the record, always making records. Isn't that what we're good at? Aren't we good at making records? Yes, we are. We're good at making public records, and that's what we need to do. File that public record in a newspaper, just like advertising when the Dutch West Indian Trading Company in 1621, creating the advertising so that you know that we'll deal with those who are living. Join our membership, our fraternity, so that therefore we can perfect the security interest in the property.
Lien. When is a UCC1 filed? UCC1 filings typically happen when a loan is first originated. If the borrower has loans from more than...
And when was the loan first originated? My first loan was originated in 2006. 2006. Because it is on bond paper. Even though I was born in 72, the loan was created in 2006. So that bond paper is now a valued commodity on some trading platform.
From more than one lender, the first lender to file the UCC1 is first in line for the borrower's assets.
That's where the term comes in. First in line, first in time. Okay. So who is first in line?
This motivates lenders to file a UCC1 as soon as a loan is made. The first UCC1 filer holds a first position lien, the second filer has a second position lien, and so forth. Usually, the first position lien must be completely satisfied before the second position lien holder can receive any remaining collateral.
Right. I wonder if I put a lien on myself. Because it seems to me that if I'm the debt and it just keeps going up, then who do I owe? Don't I owe it to me? I owe me. I owe me something. I know I owe me to discharge and start reading the executive orders. Because what's the purpose? What's the point? What's really the point if you just partying, sitting around, fucking, like, what's the real point? Because like I said, everybody wants a reset from sixes, 666666666. And I think I've done the calculation for you guys where you have 144,000 divided by 6. That number divided by 6, and that number divided by 6 gives you 666.666666667. There's an obsession with sixes.
In some cases, multiple lenders might work out an arrangement that leaves more collateral for junior lien holders. However, lenders typically will not allow a borrower to reuse the same collateral for multiple loans. We stress that we don't recommend that you stack your debt and borrow from multiple lenders at the same time, unless your business absolutely needs it. Most lenders will require UCC1 filings and collateral in order to secure their loans, and you don't want to spread your assets across multiple lenders. In the event where you cannot repay your loans, significant portions of your personal and business assets would be seized in those cases.
You hear that? Not when they come take your children, come take your car. Once you become a citizen or a city part of the municipality or anything like that, you basically put in the system, and then the system comes and charges you, right? You get a ticket, they come take your car. You get what do you call it? Some kind of thing that says, oh, we're gonna have to take your children. Oh, we're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to do that. You know what I mean? And you can actually see how just this simple knowledge of the UCC, it basically implements for every single thing. Every charge. So if the court gives me a charge, now they go and file a UCC1 in the court, basically stating that it's public knowledge or public record that now I owe them because they're first in line to put a lien on me. But now they've actually put a lien on me, right? That's the fucking lien. That's the freaking lien. The birth certificate is the lien. Nati was right. Nati is right. You have to basically like put these people on notice. How do you put them on notice? Using UCC. So now I have to put the Governor General on notice. And Isaac DeVriant on notice. Letting them know that shit's changing the party. Me have an interest.
How does a UCC lien affect businesses? UCC liens typically have a 5-year term, after which they must be renewed by the lender if your loan is still active. A UCC lien can affect your business in 3 ways. Prevents additional borrowing. Most small businesses have limited assets to offer as collateral.
Prevents initial borrowing. Well, let's see. If the people started filing UCC, then government, who is basically loves to spend on certain fictitious wars, fictitious this, fictitious that, actually loses trillions and trillions of dollars day before 9/11, loses trillions of dollars in certain administrations, has no clue where this went and that went, this budget went and that budget. If it says that the people, it's for the people, by the people, and they take an oath to the people, then the people have a right to file a UCC1 so that they will actually stop getting loans from external entities that seem to be having control over the lives of the said people that basically put these motherfuckers up in power. That seems to make sense, no? What do y'all think? Because this is for obviously for the commercial codes. The papers that are in the attaché case that are advertisements on radio and TV for trade. All in distinguished suits, have the same thought, using the law book, a secret set of principles and laws, codifying it using ancient manuscripts in the ruling faction of the day. But certain groups created in 1945 under the Berlin Conference, which are the same group of people who were running the West Indian Trading Company, who is basically the same group of people as NATO, which actually has the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which the headquarters is in Sweden? Switzerland? One of them places up there. But it's just funny how all of these things tie into what we are going through, what we have to sit through and regurgitate.
Earl. Lenders know this and usually won't offer additional financing to companies with an existing blanket lien until the lien is removed. They don't want to be fighting for scarce assets with other lenders in case you default. Borrowers facing this problem can try to get a carve-out on the blanket lien and free up some of their secured assets to use as collateral for additional loans. But doing so successfully is pretty rare.
And should you do this wherever you go? Should you do this in your dealings? Should you actually have a business when it comes to self? Yes, you should.
One alternative is to refinance with another lender by paying off the first lenders, terminating the original lien and getting a larger secured loan from the second lender. However, there aren't many lenders willing to finance unsecured loans. Another last resort option is find another lender to take a second position lien. Again, we don't recommend debt stacking. Having an active UCC1 filing can make things difficult if you're looking to take out subsequent loans. One thing to keep in mind is that lenders don't actively terminate UCC1 liens when those loans are repaid, so it's your responsibility as the borrower to make sure they do. Luckily, this process is simple, and all you have to do is request your lender file a UCC3 termination with your last loan payment. This will remove the UCC1 lien and free you up for other loans. Impacts Business Credit Report. Your credit report will show all UCC liens for the past 5 years, including status, collections, and disputed amounts. The existence of a UCC lien won't hurt your credit score unless you've defaulted on a loan or it has gone to collection. The loan secured by a UCC lien increases your credit utilization ratio, which could hurt your credit score if the ratio increases too much. However,
did anybody even hear that? Did anybody hear that at all? So you file a UCC1 if somebody owes you money. You file a UCC3 if you want to basically not owe any money and discharge. The credit report, right, you have. But the thing about it is they never said it's a debt report. Why wouldn't it be called a debt report if you're a debtor and you're getting a loan? See the trick? So you're going to look for a credit report because you're an actual creditor. You're not a debtor. because they would have a debt report. See what I'm saying? Like, it's just the wording and the terminology that we have to start understanding. We are the creditors. Why? Because we are chatteled collateral to their debt. And we've been given these bonds of value every time you go to school. Why do you think student loans is on here? Every time you go to school and you increase on your knowledge, you're actually increase on the value of your stock. When I went to HVAC, to learn HVAC, did a school in New York, and basically it's online. And the thing is that the first thing they called me a couple weeks after asking for my social insurance number. Why? Because the thing about it is now written on the paperwork stating that I am taking that course and I now accrue value on my property.
However, as long as you're careful about the size of your loan and responsible with payments, the lien itself shouldn't affect your score. Risking pledged assets. Another last resort option is find another lender to take a second position lien. Again, we don't recommend debt stacking. Having an active UCC1 filing can make things difficult if you're looking to take out subsequent loans. One thing to keep in mind is that lenders don't actively terminate UCC1 liens when those loans are repaid, so it's your responsibility as the borrower to make sure they do. Luckily, this process is simple, and all you have to do is request your lender file a UCC3 termination with your last loan payment.
Termination.
This will remove the UCC1 lien and free you up for other loans. Impacts Business Credit Report. Your credit report will...
So the UCC3 is a termination filing so that you can actually get more loans. So this is for those people who, who have a mortgage and who have, who have like a car payments, car liens, and all that kind of stuff. Now, they say that you need to get a credit report or credit score to see who has filed a UCC1 on you, right? Then you can have a list of those people who are stating that you owe them money, and whoever is first in line is first in time. They're the ones who get paid first. They're the ones who wants to basically deal with this debt. Now, in you incurring a lien on your person or on your name, which is part of your bond, you have a credit report. It's not a debt report, it's a credit report. Remember, you're still the creditor. The creditor is going to a lender to get a loan, to get a UCC1 put on them, but never ever filing a UCC1 or UCC3 for terminating after each loan. So guess what? Your name is still in a credit report stating that you, even if it was 30 years down the road and you got like a loan way back then, there's still someone who's saying that you owe them currency. Now, this currency is a debt. And we talked, you can't pay off a debt with a debt. So how would you deal with a lender lending you currency to basically put yourself in debt when you got a mortgage, got a car, anything? This is man. Well, I'm learning today.
Will show all UCC liens for the past 5 years, including status, collections, and disputed amounts. The existence of a UCC lien won't hurt your credit score unless you've defaulted on a loan or it has gone to collection. The loan secured by a UCC lien increases your credit utilization ratio, which could hurt your credit score if the ratio increases too much. However, as long as you're careful about the size of your loan and responsible with payments, the lien itself shouldn't affect your score. Risking pledged assets. A UCC lien puts your business assets at risk if you default on your loan. A UCC blanket lien allows the lender to sue for all company assets. How to check for or remove
If anybody's been listening, they've been listening very carefully to see that certain organizations could actually watch this and be like, Because when it comes right down to it, it's all about filing paperwork, giving notice and filing paperwork. That's it. Giving notice and filing paperwork. Because that's what it is. The UCC1 is notice, and filing the paperwork is just my live life claim. My claim of the life, because you're basically saying that I'm a dead man. And since I've been away from my island, which I actually haven't, because if you really think about it, the island is a part of North America. Wow. They should have just left me the fuck alone.
or remove UCC liens? Doing your due diligence and checking for any UCC liens before applying for a loan is highly recommended. You can do this by going to the website of your state's Secretary of State. The roster of secretaries is listed here. You can also use a commercial UCC search engine such as the one offered by CSC Global. Having a UCC1 filing or lien tied to your name or business isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's simply a public record stating that a lender has the rights to certain assets until that loan is repaid. That record will also show if the loan has been repaid or not. However, we've shown above that an active UCC1 lien can make it difficult to qualify for other loans even if you've already repaid your debt. Removing a UCC1 filing. There are a few ways you could remove your UCC1 filing. Pay off your loan. This is the surest way to have the UCC1 filing removed. Depending on the state, the financing statement usually remains in your state's searchable index for 1 year after the loan is repaid. In that case, the statement would reflect that the loan is repaid. Request a UCC3 financial statement termination. You should request the lender to file a UCC3 termination, since lenders typically don't file these unless requested. You should always get...
There you go. So a lot of people that basically went out and got a loan, got a student loan, got a this, got a that, basically, and now knowing that this whole system deals with crediting and debiting and all this kind of stuff, ledgers, certain people are walking around wondering why they can't get, like, they have a great idea for a business. They want to start their own business. They want to go to their bank, right? And their bank is basically saying no. Why is their bank saying no? Because you took out a loan long time ago and did not get a UCC3 termination. Why is it so important to start your own business? Why is it so important to be your own boss? Why is it so important to actually have your own claim to you? Why? Because you need to start perfecting the security interest in the property, because you are the interest. You are the debt. You are the money, whether you like it or not, whether they like it or not. They want to keep lending you money so that you keep putting back into a system that you have the ability to discharge and offset. This is all public record. Secretary of State in your state. So I need to now find the Secretary of State in my state or province, right? Or who is dealing with the financial statements of the country, since it's one big company in the first place. And being a U.S. citizen or a citizen of the U.S. puts you in joiner with the first company that started in 1621.
But always get confirmation from the lender that the UCC3 was filed. This amendment can remove the UCC lien if processed. We recommend you request your lender submit a UCC3 with your final loan payment, since UCC1 filings automatically lapse after 5 years.
So now you know that if you do decide to go out and get a loan, and you do pay it off, then therefore you're at your termination, just like if you close a bank account, you ask them, hey, can you file a UCC3, right? Or even bring in, probably get the paperwork, print it out, and bring it in and tell them to sign it and file it. Because now this is terminated, just like what's termination, right? Terminator. That's what we need to do. Be the terminator and file a UCC3.
Years. Lenders usually won't bother filing UCC-3s to actively terminate a UCC1 lien. To get an insurance quote over the phone, call 855-760-0699. Agents available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call now. Uniform. ADG. Published by Online Etymology Dictionary. 1530s of one form, from French uniform, 14c. From Latin uniformis, having only one form or shape. From uni, one, see uni, plus forma, form, see form, n. Related, uniformly, uniform, n. Distinctive clothes worn by one group, 1748, from French uniform, from the adjective, see uniform, adj. Uniform, v. 1680s, to make alike, from uniform, adj.
To make
Meaning,
alike.
to dress in a uniform, is from 1861. Related, uniformed, entries related to uniform, uni, form, uniformity. Others are reading. Definitions of uniform from WordNet. Uniform, adj, always the same, showing a single form or character in all occurrences. A street of uniform tall white buildings. Synonyms, unvarying. Uniform, adj, commercial, adj, published by Online Etymology Dictionary. 1680s, engaging in trade, from commerce plus al. 1. Meaning, done for the sake of financial profit, of art, etc. Prepared for the market or as an article of trade, is from 1871. Meaning, paid for by advertisements, in reference to radio, TV, etc., is from 1932. Related, commercially, commercial, n. An advertisement broadcast on radio or TV, 1935, from commercial, adj. Earlier as a noun it was short for commercial traveler, 1855.
Commercial traveler.
Entries related to commercial, code, n. Published by Online Etymology Dictionary. C. 1300, Systematic Compilation of Laws, from Old French Code, System of Laws, Law Book, 13c. From Latin Codex, Systematic Classification of Statutory Law, earlier Codex book, literally, tree trunk, hence, book made up of wooden tablets covered with wax for writing. Devon traces this through Proto-Italic * cod ek to pi * khud, cleaved, separate, which he also sees as the root of kata, tail, see coda. Meaning, cipher, system of signals and the rules which govern their use. The sense in secret code, is from 1808. Code name is from 1879, in telegraphy. Meaning, system of expressing information and instructions in a form usable by a computer, is from 1946.
So now, you see the Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC1. We understand that the UCC1 is filed by anyone that gives you money, anyone that signs you up for a cell phone, anyone that signs you up for a car, anyone that signs you up for your child. Okay, one is filed against you all the time. We always hear about credit. Well, credit report, credit score, credit this, credit that. Well, a lot of people who grew up in that time did not, what do you call it, did not deal with any of that shit. Nobody dealt with any of that stuff, right? We are starting to find out that UCC3 is for termination, okay? When you're dealing with the, what do you call it, the filings for the termination for a credit report, right? A domestic, yeah, for the domestic credit report, the termination is a UCC3. UCC1 is 5 years on your credit score. And the thing is that it's like the whole system since 1933 is dealt on debit, credit, discharge, offset, debt, and pledges. In order for us to be more secure, we have to find interest in the property, in our property, and place and perfect the interest, perfect the security interest in the property, PSITP. And that's just a relation to what we were talking about with the West Indian Trading Company and what in 1622, what was implemented, and the same thing is being implemented now under the guise of healthcare. And that's it. I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for coming out. Let's see. Free pop, yeah. Yes, I respect. Respect to everybody. House of Nathan, respect. Thanks for coming out. Gletchen, respect. Nino, motherfucking G, respect. Shramahawk, respect. And Jones, respect. Thank you all for listening. And it's just a little bit of relation to what is going on. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say it's time that we now figure out and stand on our own 2 feet and realize that this debt is not our debt, right? It never was our debt. It is a debt to a corporation that's doing business, offering a service here. And you are in a position, like in a very good position, tell you the truth, even though the outside realm is traumatic, your positioning is of prosperity and growth. It's funny, but in every dark cloud, there's a silver lining, whether anybody likes it or not. Respect.